Alrighty, hello everyone. This is G, and yep, we're gonna take a look at this chart. We got the Virgo full moon, February. February's full moon is a Virgo full moon, so we got a chart. We're gonna look at it. I've already marked it up. I'm gonna try to keep this one short because it's Virgo, and I already know what that means for me. A nass load of details funneling through my brain, and I'm already being so long-winded. Yeah, it's insane. So let's just discuss the Virgo stuff before we get to the chart, right? So we know the moon is going to be an ending of a cycle because that's the meaning of a full moon. But meaning ending what? So Virgo is daily jobs, tasks, routines, schedules, projects. This could have to do even with pets, routines in the home, your own health routines, your cleaning routines, whatever your mundane stuff. Like I get up in the morning, I take a shower, I make my coffee, I either have breakfast or I don't, or I get coffee somewhere else before I go over to work. Like you see all those little things, the details, the minutia, the shit that even though we don't talk about it, it's a necessity. It's a need. It really is. It's a part of our life that if we don't do those little things set us up for the rest of the success, for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week, for the rest of the month, for the rest of the year. It's all the stuff in Virgo. And where does that begin? Where does it begin for you? For some folks, they will pull out a calendar and they are filling up that calendar a month in advance or 2 months in advance or whatever it is. I've got one friend, she would have like months in advance, she would have like those big ass calendars, but she would have them up on her walls. And because she would have appointments, right? Like she was a friend of mine who, she did tours. She was like a tour guide, I guess, through Egypt and the pyramids. I don't know what the technical term is, but anyway, that's what she did. And so, she's booking stuff out like 6 months in advance, a year out in advance. And so to know what you're doing from day to day, you got to make sure, is this going to coincide with this schedule? That's such a strong Virgo thing. Such a strong, and matter of fact, she had Virgo in the 8th house. Now that I think about it, she had Virgo in her 8th house, and 8th house was the occult, right? Was the mystery, the things that are like behind scenes, but it's like the esoteric, it's the occult, it's stuff that's the hidden and stuff that may not be readily embraced within society because it might feel or seem kind of dark even. I'm thinking Aquarius because, gosh, Pluto and Aquarius is all in my brain. And Pluto is going to change that, is what I'm hearing, because Pluto's in Aquarius. How about that? So Pluto and Aquarius changing and showing us the hidden, showing us the unseen, showing us more about, and conversations and thinking and talking and even group energy about those that we more vibe with energetically, and changing that actually changing. So to connect this to this video, Pluto's in Aquarius, right? And so it's our friends. Aquarius energy is our friends, but Pluto it rules the 8th house, right? What does it have to do with Virgo? There's some similarities in a way with Pluto and Virgo energy because Pluto is all about digging deep. And so many times it's digging deep and it's going to find something, it's the detective. And so the detective has to search, has to sort through shit, has to go undercover, right? And see, Virgo is kind of like, I'm going to search. I want to see the details. And so for some people, the details and things that are hidden kind of get swept under the rug sometimes. So there's some similarities in those energies, right? And Aquarius energy and Virgo energy, when you look at them on the chart, and you see where they're lined up, it's like that 150 degree energy. So they can quincunx each other. So they're like, they can be uncomfortable. And that makes sense. when you're uncovering some of the shit that's been hidden, when you're showing some of the details, things people don't want to be, they don't want those things to be discussed. They don't want those things to be seen. So it's either swept under the rug, or it's put in the closet, or it's only done behind closed doors, which we can understand when we think about daily routines and hygienes, and we talk about the laundry, we talk about bathing, we talk about, like I just got done picking up going through the kitty cat litter box, and Taffy, had too much wet food yesterday. We'll put it like that. And so a little bit of a mess, but do we talk about that here? No. But is it part of life? Yes. So it's not the most glamorous stuff, and it might be kind of stinky sometimes, not smell real good and not look real good either. It can be downright dirty, actually. And dirty just in terms of, okay, Lord, I need some air freshener and it stinks in here type of thing. So Pluto can pull that up too, right? Pluto and Aquarius, right? Groups and energies and friends, and then maybe rearranging that. But just remember, all those Virgo keywords include day-to-day routines, but possibly the tasks at your job. But this could be for some jobs in general, right? There might be some who are like, well, wait a minute, I just got a job. We have to stay flexible with Virgo energy, right? And then let me show you this chart, because we have Aldebaran. I haven't mentioned this in the past, but I'm going to talk about it now. Aldebaran is in Gemini, and that's another mutable sign like Virgo. It's at 0 degrees. I'm sorry, Aldebaran's at 10 degrees. I'm so sorry. My brain is moving way faster than I can talk. It's this freaking Pluto and Aquarius. So just bear with me, and hopefully I'll clean up whatever I need to clean up when I edit. Aldebaran's at 10 degrees, but at the end of December, the very end of December, Aldebaran, very powerful, normally a very fortunate star. It's a fixed star. It sits at that 9-10 degrees. It's really slow, so it's going to stay there for our lifetime, for the rest of my lifetime anyway. And it went retrograde. It went retrograde at the very end of December. So all of January, we had an Aldebaran retrograding through Gemini. So this is the markets. This is the stock market. This is the local market. This is people talking and communicating. Your siblings, your neighbors, your coworkers. It supports networking. It supports business and trade. So it's really strong in a retrograde. All right. So let's get the chart on the screen, because I'm just feeling like, holy crap. Okay, let me get me off of here. Right. So here we are. I think this Aldebaran's important because of the fact that Aldebaran at 10 and being quite powerful, and that's Gemini, it can't focus. Gemini goes everywhere. It wants a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I envision Gemini where I walk up and I got a plate of food and I walk up to the smorgasbord. I can't make up my mind. I want one of each. Like, that's that Gemini energy. So it's a star of great power. Great power. Interesting already. Why? Just with that alone. We've got Mars and Venus. They're trining Aldebaran at 10 degrees here. You see that? Yeah. And we may have heard something in that video the previous week, I should say, from the February 19th. And I did discuss this in this video. I talked about Venus and Mars meeting at 7 degrees together. So when they're at 7 degrees together, their orb of power, like the way they can reach out and touch someone and communicate, likely was touching Aldebaran as well. Because Aldebaran was in a retrograde then at 10 degrees. You see? So this is a star of great power. And go through all the Gemini keywords in your brain. Like, what does that mean? Your local community, your neighborhood even. Automobiles, right? We think automobiles when we think Gemini. It's journeys. It's going on short trips. So it's short transportation trips. And so, yeah, we think cars, right? So Aldebaran here, it can bestow great gifts, most notably a charismatic ability to communicate, to talk, to communicate, all right, to think as well, because it's the mind, it's Mercury, and success as a result of your ability to communicate. So it's a star of great power. It bestows great gifts, most notably a charismatic quality, a charismatic ability to communicate, and success as a result. The success can be followed by a fall from power, a fall from success, a fall from greatness, unless ethics outweigh your ambition. In general, this star gives you the fundamentals for worldly success. Cha-ching! How do you like them apples? Right? So we've got Mars and Venus trining strongly. Okay? Now, the full moon itself, like this is what's the backstory of the full moon. Because the backstory matters because let's put it like this. Even though the moon is the thing that we're talking about, right? What rules the full moon, folks? Does anybody know? How do we know what rules a full moon? We know what rules a full moon by the sign that the full moon is in, right? And as you can see, I got it right there. 5 degrees, 5 minutes. I apologize. I might not have said that. Forgive me. This moon is close to Regulus at 0 degrees, which is interesting. This can make this powerful. It is 5 degrees away, so we'll see. But for some of you who may have things in Earth, so that's Virgo, that's Taurus, that's Capricorn, between 0 and 5 degrees. So something may end, but yet something may begin, something new. Okay. So we might hear of jobs reports. We might hear predictions or just the economists talking about how they might see a decline or maybe not a growth in jobs because there was a growth in jobs in 2024. But I don't honestly think that's going to go away. I think there's more of a reshuffling going on because of the government trying to support job growth within infrastructure, creating new jobs within the supply chain so that the United States can take care of itself. It's not dependent on other countries. And so there's infrastructure going up. Like there's been supportive bills passed to create factory jobs for us to be actually making things again here at home so that we are a little bit more self-sufficient. And Virgo is all about that. It's very practical. It's very hands-on and it works with tools. So let's get back to answer my question. Did you put it down below in the comments? What planet rules Virgo? When you know the answer to that, that's the planet that rules, right, this full moon, which then takes us back to Aldebaran. Because the same planet that rules this full moon is the same planet that rules Gemini. Yes, Virgo and Gemini share a co-ruler. Mercury shares both of them. Yes. Isn't that amazing? It is. But what's also amazing is that they square each other. They're mutable energy, but they square each other because they're mutable. So it's like we got the mind over here, Mercury in Virgo, right? And then we've got the mind in Gemini, right? And so I bring this up because we've got Juno in the partnerships conjunct Black Moon Lilith. And so that degree, the Black Moon Lilith at 14, 15, and Juno going backwards, Juno will get to 10. Juno goes all the way back to where this moon is at. Interesting. So there's a story between this 15 degrees and this 5 degrees. There's a story here, right? So the story is flexibility and changes. We're changing routines. We're changing jobs, possibly changing something with the health. Hopefully, I pray the healthcare system in general in the United States. But tasks and projects, to-do lists, right? Maybe your own healthcare, something with pets possibly in your own home. This Juno, as it retrogrades back, it's a powerful Juno because it's in red. It then does square Aldebaran. And so that's kind of the bigger backstory because that won't happen exactly here, but it might because these two are together. You see, it might. This is a retrograde, which means it's heading towards Black Moon. You see, Black Moon and Juno might be powerful enough to be the real story. And it would likely, like I said, be the jobs, okay? So something here with the two Mercuries angling each other and their conversations, the talking. Remember, this is sibling energy because it's Mercury. So let's go find Venus to find out what are we releasing. It's a Virgo full moon. It's an end of a cycle. Before I get to Venus, just remember that 5 degrees matters. We got an orb, right? 5, 6, 7 degrees. And then even Regulus, well, possibly. But remember the first degrees, so 4, 3, 2. Right. What do you guys got there? Does anybody have anything? Okay. If you do, put something in the comments to me. Let me know. I can help you figure out, and I can throw in a few more details for you. But remember, the full moon is a release. It's a let go. It's a closure of a cycle. It's an ending. And normally it's an ending that we are ready for and accustomed to. You know, we're like, okay, well, yeah, this happens every year at this time. Or, you know, it's a book I was reading and now it's done and over with, right? Or it's a job and they had only hired me part-time type of thing. Or maybe you eat different food, Virgo, absolutely. I'm eating and preparing different food because it's, you know, depending upon where you are in the part of the world, the seasons have changed, that kind of a thing, okay? So 5 degrees, we're going to give an orb for this full moon that, again, is on the 24th. The full moon, we're going to give an orb. We'll put the orb, it's a tricky one, guys, because we got powerful Regulus at 0. So I'm thinking this orb might be from 0 degrees. I know I don't normally do this, but it seems like I'm expanding the orbs from 0 degrees all the way to 7 degrees. And again, if you have objects, especially if you have more than one object, then that orb could be extended beyond that. Okay, for a release, an ending, and a closure in all the Virgo keywords, the minutia, the details, the schedule, the routine, a new cycle, maybe just a new health routine for you, ending one, beginning another. That could be a thing. There is a benefit. We have trine energy here in the chart. I have a lot of it drawn up, but mainly we want to we talked about Venus already, so we'll touch on her again because her and Mercury are always talking. So let's see. This Venus was conjunct Mars. Already discussed that. But now look. Now we have the Mercury in the sky in Pisces. So this is information and news coming from public figures, possibly. This could have to do with healthcare and hospitals and doctors because that's Pisces energy. And we got Mercury there. So we think Virgo, home healthcare and nursing even. Is there a nursing shortage, right? There could be some of that happening or news about stuff like that in that same realm. Because anytime we talk about hospitals, healing institutions within society, right? Absolutely. And we also think healthcare is in terms of our mental well-being, right? Mental well-being. The siblings are talking here. Mercury and Venus are always kind of checking in with each other. There's always an open communication between them. Venus is looking for something new and different. Remember, she trines Aldebaran. And so whatever Venus and Mars are doing trining Aldebaran, Venus is communicating it back to Mercury, you see? And we also have the sun, an authority figure, someone in charge in Pisces. So this may be in business, but likely government, or someone who's got that public figure persona. They've got that face. They're either usually interviewed. People want to hear from them. So this can be your political figures in politics and, the talking heads and all that. People who have social media accounts or whatever, that kind of stuff going on. I have Jupiter drawn up on both sides of this chart because we have Neptune as a ruler of Pisces energy, but Jupiter as well. So we have to remember that. Jupiter is a big deal because it can be the judges, it can be judgment, foreigners, foreign lands, immigration, emigration, people who are displaced. It's Jupiter energy. We also think of judges in the Supreme Court. Why is that a thing here in this chart? It's a thing because we've got Jupiter ruling Saggy all the time, and that kind of energy squares. And I've got Pallas Athena at 4 degrees along with the 2 Venuses, Sappho, the 2 Venuses. They are also, that's 1 and 4 degrees. And then we've got some stuff at 8, some part of fortunes. And we know the number 8, right? We know that squares Saturn. And so I have that red line drawn right there. We've got Pallas Athena and Juno and a couple of things at 8, like success and victory. They're at 8 as well. And so they're squaring Saturn, long-term goals and ambitions. So that's some friction and some stress and tension to something that there's long-term goals and ambitions, set up for, right? And trying to create a new form, trying to build something that's going to last for a long time, but that has to do with the institutions within our society. Right. Again, we think like the post office. We think of government workers. We think of hospitals. We think of the military even. This is water energy, so Neptune and overseas and stuff like that. All right. Now, we have trine energy with Earth. I've got Capricorn energy. I've got Sirius drawn in here. Yep, I've got Sirius drawn in here. Sirius is at 5, and we've got Cupido. It's like a strong Venus energy at 7 and Chaor at 9. So 5, 7, and 9 in Earth, they sextile Saturn, which is beneficial. This is a support energy, which means even though where there was some stress and tension from the Saggy energy, right? The Jupiter scoring Jupiter, which by the way, sometimes that can be beneficial because it's Jupiter scoring Jupiter. We've got something with the Earth that is still supporting a lot actually, because we've got 2, 5, and 9 in Pisces. And we've got 5, 7, and 9 in Cappy. And sextile energy is supportive. All right, so there's support for whatever this new thing is. It's to create stability in the long run, folks. All right, even though it might not feel like it because we're in a turbulent time. Whenever you have a lot of Aquarius energy, it rattles our nerves literally. And we feel like, okay, I might need to take something to take the edge off, right? So this is kind of to give the hope that even though something is releasing and letting go, there are things being built for the long term. So remember, the first 3 months of this year, even the first 4 months, right? That's when we have those big new moons that set up the rest of the year. There's things changing, but within that change, there is stability. You can even see the grounded earth energy. You can see where there's the north node, fiery north node in Aries, conjunct Chiron. I mentioned it in some of the other videos, but it's very fiery and it wants to start things, right? But there will be a retrograde. Mercury is going to do her retrograde, to give you all a heads up. I'm going to have that detailed video up, but Mercury will do a retrograde here. See how Mercury is really prevalent? Which means flexibility, news, things are changing. So keep that in mind. I know we want to set things in stone. We want to be like, yeah, but this is my thing. I'm sticking with this. I'm with you on that. I really am. But the story is we still have to remain flexible because we're starting something new. And anytime you start something new, you always have to stop 6 weeks, 12 weeks out. You have to stop, evaluate, reassess, and make the necessary adjustments and look for different options. And that's what Mercury does. So her retrograde is going to be going over where the eclipse was. Yeah, the eclipse is coming up. The video's already out. If you haven't seen it, I'll pin it below. It's the eclipse in April. There's an eclipse at 19 degrees in Aries, and this Mercury does retrograde over that. All right. So it tells us that we within these new startups, we are still looking to make some changes. We're still looking for options because we may have been hasty. We may have been rash. We may have jumped to it, right? All you got to remember is to expect that with a Virgo release, okay, hopefully there's something with our health that we were grateful to release, okay? Grateful. But in all honesty, for some of us, unfortunately, for some folks, if you have things that line up, you might be releasing a furry friend, a furry family member, a four-legged friend, right? Like that's the reality with Virgo energy when you have full moons and something releasing. It doesn't have to be as serious as that, but it's a possibility, okay? So that kind of wraps this up. Just remember the main theme is Mercury, and there's a lot of starting up and moving and shaking energy going on. And even if it feels, kind of unstable, the backstory is that there is organizing happening, and there's reshaping and reforming for this new energy that we're in. And it's Pluto and Aquarius energy that we're in. That's kind of like the backstory of new and different. All right. So if you got any questions, comment below. And if you are still here with me, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your time. And I will see you in the next one.